Alright, so I've made some pretty big extensions now, so you'll see some of the plans I made last episode here. Okay, so I believe we start off with the W to Lakeville Road via the R train, then via DeKalb Avenue, then via Bushwick Avenue, and then via the L. So you know Bushwick Aberdeen Station? W would be underground on Bushwick Avenue just to accompany the the elevated rail on Broadway, the Broadway in Brooklyn, obviously, and then it would go to the L platforms on Bushwick Aberdeen Street, and then it would go down to Broadway Junction. And I don't know if there's a junction for this yet, but there needs to be, so that the W can get from the L to the A and C, and then we'll go via the A and C all the way to Rockaway Boulevard, where the A and C don't go to Lefferts. If you remember from the last episode, the O and P go to Lefferts now. Go to Lefferts now. And then it will go via Liberty Avenue, local. And then it would keep going via Liberty Avenue until Jamaica, until it meets up with the E, J, Z, and V. We'll get into the V in a little bit. At a station I'm just gonna call Liberty Junction. It's really just north of Jamaica Yard. And then it goes via Jamaica Avenue all the way until it just curves off and goes to the F and V, once again the V, up at Hillside Avenue and Country Point Place at a station I just call Country Point. And then goes via 90th Avenue, and then eventually turns up to 82nd Avenue. And then goes via that until Langdale Street, and then takes a turn to takes a turn into Nassau County and goes to Lakeville Road. Alright, now time for the SAI route on the V. I'm not gonna bother to read this all, so just pause the video here. I'll even turn off my microphone. But what? Okay. Alright. So now time to go back to the other extensions. The 7 train to Alley Pond Park, Northern Boulevard, not via Northern Boulevard, actually via the LIIR, not with the same stations though. But then it turns down when it gets to Alley Pond Park, right after 220th Street. Well, actually, I believe the stations are Parsons Boulevard, Utopia Parkway, Francis Lewis Boulevard, Clearview Expressway, Bayside Bell Boulevard, 220th Street, and then Alley Pond Park, which is at Northern Boulevard. And then the 7 train gets extended down West Street. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention the L has to extend to meet the 7 at 14th Street, 11th Avenue. And then the 7 train continues down West Street, aka the West Side Highway, until South Ferry, and then it goes to Borough Hall, which means I'm not going to extend the 1 into Brooklyn. However, I will extend the 7 via the tracks the 1 would take after South Ferry, because the 7 will use the same tracks as the 1 in South Ferry. And well, actually, no, it wouldn't. It would just use the same tracks as the 1 would if it were to go into Brooklyn. Because the 1 would use the new South Ferry, the 7 would use the old South Ferry station. And then it would just go via the Eastern Parkway and Nostrand Avenue locals, because the 5 is now Express. The Express stops being President Street, Winthrop Street, and obviously Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College. So then the 7 goes down Nostrand Avenue until Garretson Avenue, and then goes over to Garretson Beach, or specifically the last station being Saltmarsh Nature. Which, yeah, that's a weird name, but there's a trail called Saltmarsh Nature Trail. And so I decided to give that a station after Loyce Avenue. I can't pronounce it. But if you don't want to extend it all the way to the bottom of Garretson Beach, just have it stop at Loyce Avenue, if that's even how you pronounce it. Then the 5 will go down Nostrand Avenue. It will continue down Nostrand Avenue to Avenue W. Then the 2 will go to Kings Plaza, which we all know the route that would take. Then the T, via Brighton Express and the R line, would be extended to Coney Island Stillwell Avenue. It would go via the R line until DeKalb Avenue, where the W would split off. Then it would go via Brighton, so it would take a turn onto the B train tracks, so it could go via the Brighton Express to Coney Island Stillwell Avenue. So after Brighton Beach, it skips Ocean Parkway, then goes to the New York Aquarium, which is renamed to just New York Aquarium. And then the obvious last stop being Coney Island Stillwell Avenue. So Ocean Parkway is a local station. That's the age-old question if the B ever gets extended to Coney Island Stillwell Avenue, or some other train goes to Coney Island Stillwell Avenue via the Q and is express. Will Ocean Parkway be express or local? On here it'll be local. However, I haven't seen the Ocean Parkway station, so I'm pretty sure there's a middle track, but if there's not, then feel free to correct me in the comments. And then the I train, which goes via the Astoria Express. So it stops at Astoria Ditmars Boulevard, Astoria Boulevard, 30th Avenue, Queensboro Plaza, and then it goes down to Court Square, which actually is in the correct Court Square, the E and M Court Square, instead of the now just 7 Court Squares. The G train goes to the E and M Court Square, so the I goes to that Court Square as well. Then skips everything until Metropolitan Avenue, Lorimer Street. Then skips everything until Myrtle Willoughby Avenues, which gets renamed to Myrtle Avenue. And if that does have a middle track, then it would just skip to Bedford Nostrand, which is another express station. And then it would skip to Hoyt-Schermerhorn, and then it would have to turn off to go to a Gates Avenue station, which would be on Gates Avenue and Franklin Avenue. And then it would go via the Franklin Avenue shuttle down to the Brighton line, and then it would go via Brighton Local, and then it would go to Coney Island Stillwell Avenue. It would be stopping at Ocean Parkway. And on my original map, I named this the P train, but I just realized that the P train is taken, so I named this the I train because that was one of the last things I could name it. And also, by the way, this Columbus 9th Avenue subway that I initially had as the P train, but then later that was used, so this would be the Y. And so now the L train would be extended to Clifton. Now this is going to be a long extension. Yeah, that's Clifton and Staten Island. Via Flatlands Avenue until Avenue N. Yes, I do have a transfer with the Nostrand Avenue and Utica Avenue subways. We'll get to that in a bit. Then it'll go via Avenue N until that becomes 60th Street, basically at the Avenue N station, which still would be local. Also, I forgot to mention this, but I would relocate the Avenue I station to Foster Avenue, because I feel like that's just a better position for it. Or you could have it be on 20th Avenue. However, I would choose Foster Avenue. And then it goes via 60th Street, then goes into Staten Island after a transfer station at 59th Street, which would be 4th and 5th Avenues. And then it'd go to St. George, and then via Bay Street, we'd go down to Clifton. Then the R, we all know that that's going to go to Fort Wadsworth Shore Acres if it does go to into Staten Island. Then it would go up to Highland Boulevard, Rosebank, and then meet with the L at Clifton. Now the G train has to go to Coney Island. The F would be express full-time via Culver, north and south of Church Avenue. Here's the Utica Avenue subway. It's an all Brooklyn shuttle. It goes from Kings Plaza with the 2 to New Lots Avenue with the 3 and 4. Because I already extended the 4 to New Lots Avenue, didn't I? Yes, I did. And then the hex code would be that. So let's go to Safari. Well, actually, no, let's go to Chrome. Yeah. I saw this in a link in a comments section. It was a troll, that's why. It's like this. Anyways, so now we need to do, okay, what was our hex code thing? 00933C. You'll notice that this is the Lexington Avenue line hex color. So yes, the 10 would be green, like it is in the roll signs, even though it wouldn't go via Lexington Avenue. However, it does have a very large portion of its track connected to the Lexington Avenue lines and the Broadway line, Broadway 7th Avenue line as well, so that's why it is green. I didn't want to come up with a new color for this, because this would mean more than 2 colors to New Lots, which I don't really think is that good. Then the J, now Express, and the Z, now Local. Don't worry, the Z will still be Express in Queens and Brooklyn. However, with this new extension, the J would be Express and the Z would be Local. It would be an extension to Sigourney Street, Red Hook. And then the Liberty Island Shuttle, which would have stops at Sigourney Street, Red Hook, and then Liberty Island. Then the T train would be extended to 125th Street Broadway via the 125th Street Crosstown. We'd have a Diamond 2, and then the Inwood Washington Heights Shuttle would be a thing, and you'd get rid of the Franklin Avenue Shuttle because that's now served by the I train, which originally was the P train, but that's already taken, so it would just be the I train. And also in Manhattan, the Z would skip Bowery and Canal Street, and then it would skip a slew of other stations in Queens, as I didn't really make any changes to it in Brooklyn, other than Alabama Avenue is skipped, Norwood Avenue is skipped, and then after that, there's just 75th Street, I think 104th Street, and that's all the new stations I skipped. And so that's it. Oh boy, this is gonna take a long time to process this video on YouTube.